think, in the sport of pulling when you come home to the state fairs?
You know, the state fairs is probably the originating of the sport, the first time that they were in competition in front of the people. And this weekend has been tremendous. Today will be out of this world with pulling.
Oh, it's 3 different types of competition. I understand one of which we've never seen before.
We're going to start off and we'll run 62 modified trucks. We're going to run the 9,000-pound super stock. Now, these are tractors that will look like a farm tractor. They have to run the original sheet metal on the tractor, must run the original rear end and the original engine. They'll look a lot like a farm tractor. They'll put out 2,000 horsepower, and it will be very exciting. Then we're going to go to a 9,500-pound modified class. Now, the 9,500-pound modified class is not run indoors very often because you're going to see tractors here this afternoon with 5 and 6 motors.
How many?
5 and 6 motors, and each one of them pumping out 1,500 horsepower. 3 Allisons, big jets with over 5,000 horsepower, 300-foot track, and it will be truly a very exciting event.
You mentioned the fact that we have a 300-foot track. That is the longest track we have worked with so far. Right now, the graders are going through, and it looks like it's in great condition.
What they're doing is they're ripping the track open. They're letting the air get to it. They'll come back a little bit later on, and they'll pack the track back. It'll be a good, solid, hard-biting track. They really ought to be able to put all the horsepower to work here this afternoon.
Well, we're outside, and it should be fun here at the Indiana State Fair. The Ford Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull Championships from the Indiana Fairgrounds are brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aids for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all you do, this Bud's for you. The 1987 Indiana State Fair. We're on hand today at the fairgrounds here in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is just a gorgeous afternoon. The track is in excellent condition, and we look for a great afternoon of competition. The Irish Challenger.
This is truly the setup. Irish Challenger with five Aries engines, possibly put out 9,000 horsepower with this kind of setup. This is max in pulling right here.
Well, we had talked about limiting the engines, and I see in the August issue of the Puller, they have a little thing on run with the big dogs or stay home with the pups. This is a big dog.
This is the big dog. Irish Challenger. He is one tough competitor. This is the, you know, the trick pieces on it, all the titanium and the aluminum. Many, many dollars. Here he comes. He'll show why.
There it goes for the distance.
Oh, my heavens. The ground was shaking, and he really went to work with that. Now you know why you got to have all the motors to make the power. Watch the replay on this. He actually goes 75 feet before he ever opens the butterflies on all 5 motors. Right there, when it just took off like a rocket. The front end, the balance is good on it, coming up, touching the ground just a little bit. Look at the shake and the power on this machine, and he's building speed as he takes it past that 300-foot mark. So was our photographer building speed as he took it past the 300-foot mark.
The distance, 300 feet of full pull for the Irish Challenger.
There you go. Talk about churning the earth up. Look at the power, the dirt that the Irish Challenger threw up as he went down the track. That's why the good numbers may be early today, because these people are actually destroying the track. They're just, looks like you've run a trencher down through the track and tore it all to pieces. But, you know, they're coming back. They're running the blade over it. They're packing it back, and hopefully it'll stay together for the good running machines coming up.
Mike Holden, the driver. Marietta, Ohio, is home. As you look at Dusty Diamond here in the 9,200-pound tractor competition. 9,000-pound modified.
3 Allison aircraft engines, 1,710 cubic inches apiece. At maximum during World War II, they never used more than 2 on an airplane, and here's 3 of them. Now, they're pretty much set up basically stock type Allison. There's 3 of them set up in this modified tractor.
296 feet, 1 inch so far, the mark to beat.
This man could clean the plow.
No, he lost it, Mike.
The big Allisons wanted to run, but just wouldn't clean out. They get a little temperamental anytime they get a little bit of water in the magneto or anything like that. They get to popping and banging on them. It's just a tough break for that Dusty Diamond team.
186 feet, 7 inches for Dusty Diamond. Troy Washkow out of Iowa Falls, Iowa. It's an Allison, isn't it?
Here's a young man with an Allison. This is Troy's first year in full competition with the United States Hot Rod Association. He is driving his dad's old tractor. This is the single Allison, fuel injected. He's about 17 years of age and does a tremendous job driving this Persuader tractor. There's a young man that's going to be one of the premier pullers in America. Troy had a little bit light on the front end, but it settles back down, gets a hold of the track, maneuvers it on down. Might have had to get on the brakes just a little bit. When that happened, of course, that takes away the momentum and brings the tractor to a stop. A beautiful run for the Persuader tractor with the single Allison. He's kind of out horsepowered here this afternoon, but 1817 is nothing to be ashamed of. A beautiful job for the Persuader.
Empty pockets from Albion, Indiana, as we're home here at the Indiana State Fair, Indianapolis, Indiana. 296.1. The mark to beat so far for the 9,000-pound modified tractors. 3
of the big all-aluminum Keith Black Hemi motors. 2 of them, this will be a combination we'll see a lot today. 2 of them sitting crank to crank with 1 motor up over the top. The 2 on the bottom have a clutch. The motor on the top has a clutch. They can come in at different times. I would imagine he's got them all hooked up to come in about the same time this afternoon. With this kind of track, he's going to need all the power he can get. The Sled's heavy. They're going to really have to work for some footages.
Makes a run at it, but will come up a bit short.
3 motors out. Just a few short years ago was considered one of the toughest setups in the country. And now 3 motors make a good 7,000-pound tractor. 9,000 pounds, they've got them up. They're running 5 and 6 engines on them, and it hurts the guys running the 3 motors. They run the 9,000-pound outdoors, 300-foot track, let them use all the horsepower they've built in these machines. Of course, 300-foot indoors is a hard-to-find kind of setup. And when you do move it indoors, it's hard to build a track that can take the kind of power that these machines are going to put out this afternoon. So that's why you don't run a lot of 9,000 pounds indoors. Here's the replay on this empty pockets, and a beautiful job. He opens the butterflies up about 75 foot. The balance is good on it. The tires are just patting the ground about 3 times as he goes down the track. It just can't build the horsepower. The Sled's coming up. The box is topping out, and it's tough on him.
I have seen in some of the various national publications on pulling where there has been some movement, I guess, to limit the number of engines.
A lot of people would like to limit the number of engines to cut down on the money that's involved in them. But, you know, when you get outdoors like this and you see 5 and 6, it's just what it's all about. Power's the name of the game. Whether it's changing the plugs or changing the oil, it's not too difficult. You've only got 1 motor to contend with. Well, how would you like to be the family of Steve and Bud Jaskey? Not only 1 motor won't do, they have a total of 5 engines on this Blazing Bison's tractor. This is one of the top contenders in the 9,200-pound modified class that we'll see here today. All of the engines are the exotic aluminum Aries engines. They'll put out over 8,000 horsepower as a combination. The 2 together in the middle are hooked end to end. That's crankshaft to crankshaft with a single clutch in the back of it. The 2 that are hanging off of each side have individual clutch and go into a transfer case at the back. The top motor operates as a separate engine through a clutch and into a transfer case, all coming out in one rear end with a tire speed of over 100 miles an hour. This is one of the top contenders in the 9,200-pound modified class this afternoon. Watch for him. Blazing Bisons is a tough competitor.
You're looking down the track here, actually down both of the tracks at the Indiana State Fair. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. Ford Budweiser Summer Nationals. Blazing Bison is coming up next. Steve Jaske. Wisconsin, the home state.
8,000 horsepower, and his dad is currently in the lead on the modified side of the track.
What's his hometown again?
New Berlin, Wisconsin. Not one, but 5 Aries engines.
Well, we've had 2 full pulls among the 9,000-pound modified.
Now look at this. He's got 3 of them in line, 2 crank to crank, 1 up on top with a clutch, and then 2 that are setting back to back of each other, hanging off in front of the tires. This is quite a setup, and the gearbox is unbelievable. When he does a tune-up, it takes a week. Here comes Blazing Bison. Oh, he just spent a bunch of money in a very short time.
What happened?
He broke something in a driveline parts because the motors came up, the RPM came up real high, the tractor quit moving, it was under power when it happened. He could have very well snapped the driveline out of the Blazing Bison. I believe the young man was headed out. I think he had the full pull in his pocket.
He roared by our stand here right down the middle of the track.
Well, they're checking it over and seeing what the problem is. There's Steve, and we know that he is more than a little bit upset about that. He had the pull, as you might say, in his hand. He was headed out. He was going to be coming back for the pull-off, and something snapped. The motor came up as he was right there at the finish line. Now, the tractor just making all kinds of horsepower. Steve's doing a great job. Now, down at the end of the track, begins to drift a little bit, but he's not in any trouble. He was all right. You notice the butterflies are now opened up all the way. The tires just touching the ground, just skimming. Balance on it's good. Steve's got everything in control. Drifting a little bit to the left right there, and he's trying to bring it around. And about that time, the drive line broke, and down we went.
286 feet 7 inches, so he was, as you mentioned, well on his way to the 300-foot mark full pull.
He could have had it out, I believe.
Talk about engines. That's mission impossible, and he is, if not the favorite, certainly one of the favorites in the 9,000-pound modified tractor competition. Of course, we've already had the full pull by the Irish Challenger, so let's see if Mission Impossible with Tim Engler from Princeton, Indiana can do the same.
Very, very possible. Just a true multitude of engines, an engineering masterpiece.
Will that stay on the ground, or is it going to take right off into the sky?
It will probably lift off the ground just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Tim Engler is a professional. This man is truly a pro. Studied it out. We've got 1 full pull. Look for Tim Engler to come back and do the same thing with this ground-pounding piece of equipment. He has just almost been unbeatable this summer in this class, this 9,200-pound class. It's kind of his class. 5 big motors, all the power in the world. The tire speed is just unbelievable, close to the 100-mile-an-hour mark, but it's nothing written in stone.
Right out the end of the track, and he did that as he started a little slowly. Seemed to stumble out of the starting blocks.
Bob, what he was actually trying to do was make the tires hook to the track. You'll see him when he comes out of the starting line, and he hammers the motors, backs out, hammers. There he backed out. He hammered them again, actually backed out of it again and hammered them one more time before the tires ever hooked up, before they ever got a bite on the ground, and still drug it out. Most machines would not be able to do that. Most of them would, when you backed out of it, the sled would be too far up and it would just kill you. But that tractor's got the power, that he has the capabilities of backing out, letting the tires slow down enough to hook up and then get back on the throttle, and absolutely blew it out of the track. I mean, 300 foot, and said, I'll be back.
And back he will. He'll be back for a pull-off against the Irish Challenger and perhaps more as the competition continues here this afternoon at the Indiana State Fair. Top Gun now coming out with a little bit of a different, or at least it looks like a little bit different engine arrangement.
Two side-by-sides and then into a transfer, each one of them into a clutch and then into a transfer box that takes them across and puts them into the rear end. Puts all the weight in the middle of the tractor. A lot of people would rather have them in line so they'll possibly get the balance a little bit.
He only has two engines?
Better. Two V-12 Allison aircraft engines used during World War II in the fighter plane. The P-38s, the P-52s. Out of Iowa, Ron Warschkow. It's a good tractor. Ron has not had a problem balancing this tractor, as some people thought he might by setting the motor side by side in the middle. As a matter of fact, it's come up to be an advantage to him, and he uses it very, very well. There's his son, Troy, and Troy's already been down the track, so he knows what the bite's like. He's kind of giving Dad a little bit of last-minute advice, and let's see if it does any good. As Ron Warschkow gets ready to turn loose, Top Gun. He's got to go 300 feet full pull if he plans to come back in the competition and run for the #1 money, because we've got some of them that have made the trip.
Not going to do it with Top Gun. Straight a little bit, first to the left and then back to the right.
Wandered all over the track, and that took away the momentum. Of course, the best pass is the straight pass right down the middle of the track. Ron didn't quite make it today, but I tell you what, he really gave it a good shot. And that, you know, that's a beautiful tractor. It's really a pretty tractor.
Another look at it.
Ron has got a good hook going. Mike could have used another 50 pounds on the front of it. He's drifting a little bit, changes his momentum. Oh, don't want to get out of bounds, and he doesn't. Brings it back around, doing a great job with it, but it just couldn't go together for a full pull. 2:21.1, a very respectable pass for Top Gun. Our Fawn family.
We've seen them so many times in exhibition competition, but now we're right up there with the real thing.
Now it's time to try the case of the big guys, as Art Arfons is one of them.
Dusty going to pull today?
I don't believe they brought Dusty's tractor. It usually doesn't run up into this heavyweight class. Dad's is just about ready to go. Dusty points out a little bit on it, says, Dad, take a look at that before we leave, and he does. They work very, very well together. Art Arfons got the twin turbines fired up, and here he comes.
The Green Monster.
Full pull is going to be mandatory to get into the pull-off. He's got the tire speed. He lifts it high in the front end, and he's on his way. Arfons is riding one right out the door.
The 300-foot full pull for the Green Monster, Art Arfons from Akron, Ohio.
I believe he wanted a little bit more when he got to that mark. He just backed out of it and settled it back down to the ground. You know, this pull is going to show you what years and years of experience in pulling actually does for you as far as competition's concerned.
The full shot, 300 feet full pull for the Green Monster.
Watching the gauges, and then it's just take it and ride. Art easing into him, watch the hand go down, and here comes Art Arfons. Now, the front end is up in the air, and maybe someone that hasn't driven tractors quite as long as Art had would have hit the brakes. But you notice Art just tapped them to bring it around and really out the door for the old pro. This afternoon, we're using a brand new type of measuring device. It's a laser beam, and it's very, very accurate. Leslie runs the laser beam, and Leslie, tell us just a little bit about it.
What it does, it takes an actual measurement. There is a prism that sits on the sled down at the far end, and as the sled comes down the track, it takes another measurement reading, and they do a lot of calculations with algebraic equations and come up with the distance that he actually pulls the sled down the track.
Now, it measures out in tenths of an inch, 3 places, and then you calculate it back to the correct inch.
That is correct. We take the measurement with a degrees measurement, and we do calculate that back to the inch.
Well, even in the world of pulling, the technology has become very, very advanced. It's going to be very interesting to see how quick and how accurate the laser beam works with measuring this afternoon. Here's the Foolish Flyer. This is a single Allison-powered tractor of the Walsh brothers. a good running tractor. One fuel-injected V12 Allison aircraft engine. Maybe a little bit short on power with all of the 5- and 6-motor tractors and the triple-engine Allison. Let's see how the Flyer does.
Nope, has some problems.
Got some fire out of the front of it, and he very well may have popped a blower, and it could be some fire going on down inside that blower. He has not only popped a blower, but look on the bottom of it. He has blown, that is antifreeze coming out all over the track, and there's lots and lots of water in one of these V12 Allisons. I can't see from my vantage point whether he's popped a hole in the side of the block or maybe knocked a hose off of it that's running from the water back to the back. We take a look at it. Watching as he goes down the track, and right in this area is when it turns loose underneath the tractor. Right there, he has hurt the motor. As parts come out there, you see parts of the block coming out and going all over the place and losing all of the antifreeze. I still think he may have a little bit of fire down inside of that, inside of those breathers, and it's gonna be a little bit of a problem there as they're checking it out. I'd be very, very careful on that because there could be some fire burning down inside that blower, as it did pop some fire out of it.
You're looking at Stinger. Tractor from Marlboro, New Hampshire.
Clint Allison on his way. Getting good hook. Beautiful job as he powers his way down past the 250-foot mark with that Stinger tractor. 2 V12 Allisons, and a beautiful job. All right, easing into it out of the starting line area. Watch the tires begin to hook up a little bit. The tractor just padding the ground. Gets a little bit of pickup on it, and when it does, you know the tires are hooked in real strong, and away we go with one called the Stinger. A real fine run, trying to keep it drifting from the right.
Measurement for the Stinger, 254 feet, 7 inches. More exciting action coming your way from the Indiana Fairgrounds, so stay with us. The Indiana State Fair, it is time now for the pull-off among the 3 tractors that have qualified among the 9,000-pound modified competition. This is Irish challenger Dave Walsh from Wisconsin. And this ought to, are you going to pick one of the 3?
You really do this to me. No, I'm not.
How do you bet against that?
You know, how can you? You've got Art Arfons' twin jets. You've got 2 tractors with 5 Aries engines apiece, Kipley engines on this particular tractor. These are the big Aries engines. And here's a man that no doubt could take this sled out again. Now, they've added probably 10,000 pounds to the sled to try to stop them in the limits of this 300-foot track. But we're talking about a multitude of horsepower, 9,000, possibly 10,000 horse.
Wow.
Oh, my heavens. The power is just awesome as he went down the track, ripping the ground up, dirt going everywhere. Now watch the right hand. He doesn't wait very long before he trips the trigger and goes wide open with these right out of the hole. You see the dust come up in front of it, then he's wide open with all of the big Aries engines headed. The balance is good on it. The tires just touching, drifted a little bit to the left, might have tapped that brake just a touch to bring it around, and a beautiful job. Still a lot of ground speed with the box all the way up at the top and still pulling strong.
Mission impossible.
Tim Engler.
And the mission is to go better than 279 feet 10 inches, which is the lead so far among the tractors here in the pull-off. Irish Challenger has already run 279.10, the mark to beat, and see what Tim can do here in Mission Impossible.
I wouldn't think it would be impossible with this tractor. I think he's got a chance at going past that mark. He's got the same basic setup as the tractor that ran before him, although the engines are set on the tractor different. Instead of having 4 side by side, he has 2 in line, 2 that are butted up against each other, and 1 setting up on top. Of course, Tim, known for the man that can balance a tractor extremely well, and does a great job with this machine. It's big horsepower, and he is a fine, fine puller. But the 279 mark, 279.10, is a long ways down with all the weight on the sled and as fast as the box is going up the ramp. Slack comes out of the chain, visor comes down, and it's strictly business for Mission Impossible.
And another big display of power.
Quite a display of power, and here again, on and off the motors to get the tires to hook up on the starting line. And I didn't think he would do that this time in the pull-off because the weight box be going up the ramp so much faster. Here again, another big display of power as he's on and off the throttle, slowing the tires down, trying to get them to hook up. The tractor bouncing very, very severely right there at the start, but Tim Engler just leaves it wide open. It finally levels out, hooks to the ground, and just thunders down this track. Balance is good now, and everything is right. The conditions, look at the butterflies wide open on all 5 engines. He is looking for a distance now. He had to go past 279 and 10 to take the lead in this pull-off.
Mission Impossible goes 273 feet 5 inches, so Irish Challenger the leader now at 279.10, and coming up, Art Arfons and the Green Monster. Art Arfons there with daughter Dusty, the Green Monster, 279 feet 10 inches, the mark to beat.
You know, Art has really got that 279 is going to be a tough one to beat. But Art showed what a pro he was when he made this pull-off. The front end up, he didn't get on the binders, he didn't get on the brakes and pull it around and stop it. Just let it float, went right out the end. We're going to find out if the years of pulling and the experience and the talent that this man has won't pay off right now in the pull-off. Waiting for the pressure to come up, waiting for the boost to get just where he wants it as they keep close watch on the gauges. They had the camera on the first pass, probably to check the gauges out. Made the pull-off. Dusty clears the way, and it's time to turn loose the Green Monster. Let's see if Art Arfons can't do it. There's the camera all dialed in on the gauges. They'll know what the machine did as soon as this pulls over with, and they run the videotape back. Here comes Art. Watch his right hand. He's easing into it. He's wide open. There's the tire speed. Here comes the Green Monster.
Good, strong pull for Arfons. He's going to be close.
He was on the brakes that time. When he went by our vantage point, the right leg was really mashing on the brakes hard to bring the tractor around and keep it from going out of bounds. Art Arfons eases off. His hand starts forward, just bringing the power in. There's the tire speed up to par. The front end is up, and he's mashing on that right brake. He's drifting to the left. He's pushing down with the right foot, trying to bring it around. It did come around, but it cut the momentum down on the pull. It hurt him when he did that, but Art Arfons, being the veteran he is, made the best of a good, tough situation for the Green Monster.
260 feet for the Green Monster, so the Irish Challenger will win the 9,000-pound modified tractor competition at 279.10. Then Mission Impossible with Tim Engler, and in third place, the old pro, Art Arfons from Akron, Ohio. Here at Indianapolis, we're at the State Fairgrounds outside. A gorgeous afternoon here at Indianapolis. So, Mike, you're looking at Blue Max.
Wally Harville out of Maple Park, Illinois, sitting on a set of the giant CPEC pullers. The truck pullers say you can't win without CPECs, and Wally's got a set of them on the truck. Beautiful job. You know, this truck's been featured in in one of the finest magazines in America, and that's Four Wheeler Magazine. A number of times Wally's been in color shots on it. They cover a lot of pulling, and truly a fine, interesting four-wheeler magazine. Let's see if Wally can put one out. The big 541 Ford needs to go the distance, 300-foot full pull. Wally's done it before, and, you know, Wally's got his brother involved in pulling now. We're going to see Matt is here this afternoon in competition. Here comes Wally. Got to go out to get to the money.
Yep, 300 feet is the leader with Showtime. We've had a number of trucks that have gone 290 or better, so we'll see what Blue Max can cook up here at the Indiana State Fair on a sunny afternoon.
Hold on, Harville. Wally got real close, but just ran out of power right on the end of the track. Beautiful job for Wally Harville in the Blue Max truck. Right there at the end, it was just not enough power.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, Mike, is pull that. Now, how exactly does that sled work?
Operates through a series of gears and transmissions that's powered off of the rear wheels. The further you pull it down the track, the further the weight box, that Duraliner Budweiser six-pack, go up the ramp. Now, it's transferring that weight from a rolling weight to a dragging weight, making it harder to pull. The sled probably weighing in around 55 to 60,000 pounds this afternoon. Doesn't go up the ramp real fast because of the length of the track. You want to be able to let the pullers run the whole distance of it before it puts the weight over onto that pan, turns it to a dragging weight, and makes it almost impossible to pull.
What are you trying to do? I mean, obviously you don't want everybody to have a full pull, but you also don't want everybody stopping at 150 feet. Is it sort of set so that most of them will go like 250, 260?
A sled operator thinks he's had a great day when he stacks everyone within the last 10 feet of the pull. That's his maximum challenge, to try to put all of the pullers within a 7 or 8 foot area.
But the weight and the rate at which the six-pack goes up is the same for everybody.
It'll be the same if you pull the sled 90 miles an hour or 2 miles an hour. It'll always end up in the same place every time.
Pull-off time in the 6,200-pound modified truck competition. 5 trucks competing for the top prize. This is Showtime. Steve Olson from Farley, Iowa. He will be number 1 in the pull-off.
Beautiful 1986 Ford Chevrolet truck, an outstanding truck. And he'll be laying the mark down for the rest of the pullers to try to beat, as he was the first man that made the pull-off this afternoon, and he'll come back and try to...
Do they go in the same order that they pulled in the first time?
They go in the same order that they went out, made their full pull with the first time, and Showtime was the first one out of this group. Sled's heavier, box is going to be tougher. He's in it hard.
It's a pretty good-looking run for Showtime.
Boy,
in the pull-off.
Another fantastic run in the pull-off. The weight box, the six-pack, all the way to the top. All of the weight transferred from the sled to the pan, and Showtime still doing a tremendous job with it.
First truck in the pull-off, Showtime, goes 270 feet 5 inches. It's noisy, it's dirty, and it seems like sort of a strange way to spend an afternoon, but truck and tractor pulling is one of America's most popular sports. Why do the fans like it?
For the noise.
Is the noise the noise is it?
The noise is it. The horsepower coming out that they put out, that's it.
I just enjoy watching tractors pull.
It's going to be hot this afternoon. There'll be a lot of dust, a lot of smoke. Why do you come to the tractor pull?
Be with my husband. Tractor pull, I like the power of the tractors, stuff like that. I just like to hear the roar of the engines.
Does the noise bother you?
No. Also come here look for girls.
Oh, well, is it a good place to look for girls?
Yeah, sure is. Lots of girls come here.
Mark to beat is 270 feet 5 inches from Showtime. This is Wildfire. Gary Sellen, who also has another truck in the pull-off, will take a shot here with Wildfire.
Brought 2 of them, qualified 2 of them, 604 Hemi Ford, and it's Wildfire. This man out of Norfolk, Nebraska. Here comes Gary Saline.
Good run for Gary, who sort of eased it out and then put the hammer down.
Rolled the truck well past the 75-foot mark before he ever actually opened it up and made the truck start working for its money today.
Gary Saline and Wildfire falls a bit shy of Showtime. Wildfire comes in at 2:87, so Showtime is still the leader at 2:75. 5-truck pull-off, the Virginian, shooting at Showtime and 270 feet 5 inches.
Deal Wilson, a tremendous puller out of Winchester, Virginia, big shotgun Hemi Ford motor. Now Deal saw he had a problem when he left the starting line. He did not go 75 feet. It's the mark here on the outdoor track. That's the orange cone marking the 75-foot. And this flagman, as you see right in front of the truck, flags the truck between the starting line and the 75-foot mark. There's another flagman on the finish line, and once he crosses the 75-foot mark, then the flagman on the finish line takes over and watches the truck for keeping it in bounds and making sure there's no problem.
So the Virginian hooks it all set to try again. 270 feet, 5 inches the mark to beat.
This is the one that'll put down the record book. It's a very good hook.
Very, very good. Should be right up there with Showtime.
Well, the big Ford motor sounded strong. The tires turned good. It really, really did a great job. The Virginian, Deal Wilson.
Virginian checks in at 267 feet 6 inches, so Showtime is still the leader at 270 and 5 inches. Wildfire is still number 2, and the Virginian moves up to number 3. Gary Saline in red hot.
This is his second ride in his 1987 Ford Ranger 604 Hemi.
Bounces at the end, and we'll have to wait for the measurement.
Trying a brand new suspension on this truck, a 4-bar suspension instead of a leaf or a coil. Actually runs shocks and bars that come off the front end. It's something new and revolutionary and 4-wheel drive pulling, and Gary Saline's trying it, and it may work real well. You know, he qualified for the pull-off through a tremendous amount of good trucks.
Measurement for Red Hot, 267 feet 6.5 inches. So the winner, Showtime, among the modified 6,200-pound truck competition, with Wildfire coming in second. Bob Kurtz, Mike Galloway here at the 1987 Indiana State Fair Superstock Tractor Competition. As we continue with the action here at the fairgrounds, well, how did these differ from what we saw earlier?
These must run the same engine block and the same rear end that came from the factory on it.
Up next in the Superstock Tractor Competition, Iron Elk. Warren Ropp from Iowa. I think it's Kelowna, Iowa.
The 4430 John Deere, and the mark to beat is 257 and 9. There's the black smoke. Here comes the clutch, and the tires are ablaze. With the Iron Elk, rides with it all over the track. He's hooking up. Back to the left, trying to keep it in bounds. Gets on the brake, saves it.
Well, you said the tractors would be all over the place, and so far, it's exactly where they've been. To the right, to the left, back to the middle, and back to the left.
Smoke gets black, gets powerful, and here comes the tires hooking up. Now, they're short couple tractors. They don't have a long wheelbase on them. The tire speed is up around 60 miles an hour. These are 6-cylinder diesel engines putting out about 2,000 horsepower, and it's a wildest ride you'll see in pulling as they drift from the left to the right and hopefully end up back in the middle.
Hogan's Hero 2.
Alfred Hogan out of Wisconsin, a 986 International, and he's standing tall with the smokes flying high. Watch the 986 on the brakes a little bit, but just touched them. I don't think he got down on them real hard, but it's over to the side. Got to try to bring it around, and it runs out of power. A good, strong run for Hogan's Hero 2, but just couldn't get the power together to make that full pull. Excellent job.
There's nothing you can really do, Mike, to keep these tractors from drifting, is there?
There really isn't. It's just the balance and the control of it, how you're doing. You want to stay off the brakes as much as you can. You notice it's drifting to the left. He's hoping that it'll come down, touch the ground enough to pull it back around without him getting on the brakes, and it just didn't happen. When he touched the brakes, the momentum stopped on the tractor, and it was all to rote today for the beautiful Hogan's Hero 2.
253 feet, 10 inches for Hogan's Heroes. It's quite a ride backwards.
The self-propelled sled, one of the true great things that's happened to pulling. And you notice all in the sled box, there's a gentleman controlling it as it goes backwards. He does that with brakes. And there's the weights inside the box, each one of them weighing several thousands and thousands of pounds. And the location that they are positioned in the box are very strategic in stopping these trucks. Of course, people operating the sled are the best in the business, and they know exactly where they need to be and what it's going to take to transfer all the weight from the back to the front and do it in what distance.
So it's not only how much weight you have and how the weight is transferred, but also where it's placed.
Exactly where it's placed in the box, and if there's any placed on the pan and various other places on the machine that makes all the weight work from a rolling weight to a dead drag weight.
Trailer Farmer is the machine, and Russ Mears is the owner-operator. Denver, Iowa.
A trailer manufacturer by profession. Watch the black smoke. It's a 966 red one, an international, and he's on his way. He's got some good tire speed. He's got a good straight pass, but it just wouldn't happen for the Trailer Farmer this afternoon as the tractor seemed to give up the pull at about the 200-foot mark, and you know it's going to be a tough one as you head back to Iowa with that one. Look at this one, no smoke. This is an alcohol-burning G1000 Moline, and he's on his way to a leading mark as this is one tough G1000. It's, you know, something really unusual about it. It's about a 1955 model, and it's on alcohol. It's probably the only competitive G1000, I should say, not say the only, but one of the most competitive G1000 in America. And he's up there running with the big, strong diesel tractors. It's a 6-cylinder, lots and lots of cubic inches when it came to the factory in 1955. A beautiful pass for Lyle Hull out of Wisconsin, as he was really ripping up the track. Look at the big lines of dirt that he's laid down, dug big holes at the finish line when the weight transfer machine caught him. Dale Lowe out of Greensburg, Indiana. This is a 2094 case, and he's on his way. A walking, talking case power. Got underneath the turbo, and the pressure going out of the engine became greater than the pressure coming in the engine. And it's called getting underneath the turbo, and it stops the power. But plenty of black smoke on his way down the track before be gone. The black smoke is up. Here is one tough 4250 John Deere as he dances his way down the track. He looks like he's headed out. The power's down. The tire speed is still up, and it comes up a little bit short this afternoon for Richard Buss out of Denver, Iowa.
Take another look at that. It's a strong run for Demon Be Gone.
Very good. Look how tall the black smoke is. Look at this big 6-cylinder diesel with the turbochargers. The tires turning so hard, and 2,000 horsepower. They're real short coupled. It's just dancing, touching the top of the ground. The balance is excellent. All he has to do now is try to run it in a straight line down the track, but the big sled gets the best of him and stops him short of a full pull. Beautiful artwork on the side of that tractor as he takes it off and puts it into the pit area. Of course, they must run the original sheet metal on these tractors, and a lot of the guys have changed the coloring on them and do a lot of real pretty paint work on them.
The distance for Demon Be Gone, 275, 3 inches. Competition continues here in the Superstock competition. Been a long afternoon here at the Indiana State Fair. They've had an opportunity to see quite a number of machines here this afternoon. They have lights.
A lot of very good machines. And here's one of them out of Farmington, Minnesota. One of the new style 3688 International tractors with 4 turbos. This is one of those tractors that if you just started with a bare spot in the garage and finished up with the tractor, you'd have $100,000 tied up there. Watch the smoke go black. There's the gray. He's dumping the water in it to keep it cool, and here comes black, and it's on power. Never enough. A very good hook. He's looking at the end. Well, I'll tell you what, he used up almost every inch of that 300 foot on that pass, Bob Kurtz. Let's watch him as he's watching the boost. Now, that's what he's looking at. The boost has reached his mark. He trips the hammer on it. Hand goes straight down, and watch the black smoke as it just billows out of this tractor. As he comes down the track, the diesel making 2,000 horsepower. It's up in the air, settles down just a little bit, and when it does, he's in for one heck of a ride. Look at that right hand pushed all the way down. The throttle is wide open, and it finally comes to a spinning stop right at the end of the track.
Full pull for Never Enough. 300 feet he goes the length of the track. Bob Thompson, Lewistown, Illinois, and the Illinois Streaker.
Another one of the very popular red tractors in this class, a 1466 with 4 turbos on it. And the way they operate is one of them, a smaller one, blows a bigger one, that blows a bigger one, until they end up with 3 stages and lots of horsepower. Watch it now, dumping some clear water in it. Cooling the engine down. Now the smoke's black, and it's time to bring the farm tractor to life. Not quite like you'd see on the farm, but here's the power in the Illinois Streaker. As the smoke covers the sun at the Indiana State Fair, a beautiful pass on the Illinois Streaker. Outstanding job.
Charlotte, Michigan is where this tractor hails from. Screamin' Demon 2, Jerry Van Dorp.
A 986 International, and the 2 exhausts and the 2 knots hanging out on each side of it are turbochargers. They're building pressure. Of course, the production type automobiles you're seeing nowadays run about 6 pounds of boost as they drive down the highway. These people put out about 260 plus pounds of boost.
Full pull mark is what he's setting for, and here he goes.
Look at the black smoke come out of both sides of the tractor. He's got good ground speed, good power. He's looking at the full pull mark, dancing all over the track. If he could only inch a few more feet, and it comes to a halt. The black smoke goes away a lot faster than it comes on. As you notice, as soon as they back out of it, the smoke disappears from the exhaust. They shut the fuel off going into it.
And for Screamin' Demon 2, 280 feet, 5 inches.
With every Budweiser enjoyed, the promise endures. The promise of genuine quality.
Indiana State Fair in Indianapolis. For Mike Galloway, I'm Bob Kurtz. Want to thank you for being with us this afternoon and remind you that the Ford Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull Championship from the Indiana Fairgrounds has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beats with age for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all you do, this Bud's for you. This has been a presentation of Bud Sports through the facilities of ESPN.